Hey, this is Charles with Historical Gaming, and today we're going to talk about World War II Assault by Mad Mitch's Game, which is a skirmish level World War II game. The game is basically broken down into squads. The game costs $10 and includes the rules and a lot of extra goodies in there. That it's kind of amazing that they can do this for as little as $10. They had some Kickstarter extras with the game when you bought it before, but you can buy those Kickstarter extras now for about $10 extra. And now they've got some extra scenarios in the road to Cherbourg. So Mitch does try to do the scenarios in a historical format, which is really nice for me. One of the things I didn't like about Bolt to Action is that the scenarios didn't typically tend to be historical. They just tended to be tournament style. So I do like Bolt to Action in historical type scenarios, but as far as a tournament style game, it's okay because there's so much to it. It was difficult to keep up with the Joneses as far as what type of the rifle do I need for certain types of situations. But this one is plain and simple. Can use your bolt action infantry figures and have a lot of fun with it. So the scenario cards basically tell you how the scenario should be laid out. This is a 4x4 format, not on the board right now. It shows you the terrain type that you'll need, how to lay it out, what types of forces that you'll need. You've got optional weather rolls. You've got a legend. You've got the troop breakdowns. So basically a troop consists of a squad leader and an assistant squad leader, a gunner and an assistant gunner, and a number of riflemen. So the American gets 6 riflemen with bolt action rifles, and then the Germans get 5 rifles. Okay, so let's see if I can find it. Here's another scenario card. March 1941 in Egypt, 5 turns long. And from what I understand, after you get to learn how to play the game, it plays in about 45 minutes. So it's pretty cool. All right, so here are the order cards. So this is basically the way that the initiative is determined for the units. If you have 5 troops on the board, you'll basically take the 5 cards out and you'll randomize these, or shuffling as some people would call it. And you will lay 1 in front of each troop type to determine who moves first. So the lowest will move first, number 1, move second, move third, move fourth, move fifth, and kind of like X-Wing, the highest priority will shoot first. So 5 will shoot first, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Each one of these cards has the activation sequence on it and how it works, and also the how movement works. So movement in a crawl, you can only move 3 inches, but you're in a prone position, so that's going to help you when somebody's shooting at you. You can walk 5 inches, and if you walk, you can fire, or you can run 10 inches and not fire. So if you stand, it takes -2 to your next movement, and if you are prone, you cannot move. So in a prone position, you would have to actually do the stand -2 in order to get moving again. That's pretty much how that works. All right, so let's go back to the unboxing here. So the first thing that's going to happen is spotting for hidden units. This particular scenario does not have any hidden units, but typically your spotting has a range of less than 5 inches. You roll a 4+ to see somebody, less than 10 inches, a 6+, 25, and 50. You're going to take a spotting template and throw it down where you think the unit might be, and then that's how you spot somebody. The assault phase goes through the action sequence we just talked about. We've got the move actions we just talked about. Then we go through the assault actions of the attack or firing. We've got ranged assault. We'll have to hit numbers, rate of fire. So some weapons will have a higher rate of fire than others, such as machine guns and stuff. A unit that doesn't move can aim. Each different type of weapon can have different ranges and different rate of fires and things like that. Players may also declare targets and any units in line of sight as long as they're not targeting through friendly or enemy models, and also you can't shoot through like trees and things like that. So it's a straight line of sight. If you can see somebody, you can shoot them. If you can't see them, you can't shoot them. You also have close assault in the game. We've also got grenades. You can rush and basically go into combat. Strike, and any model engaged in close assault may choose to strike as a move action to receive the +1 to strike hit bonus. You cannot run into a close assault. You can only walk. Outnumbered and flank. You can do flanking in the game. Targets elevated, weapon effects, things like that. Here's some randomized effects if you want to do this. And here's how damage is applied and the end action. Also, at the end of the turn, after everybody's moved and fired, you've got the morale phase. You'll go through some morale triggers. In this particular scenario, each unit has a base of 3, which each scenario card will tell you what it does as far as that goes, things like that. So you can play up to 8 people on this. I've only played it with 2 so far. So here are some of the markers that come with the game. You've got the 5-inch target template, which is the movement rating. So if you want to move or walk 5 inches, you can use this target. It's also used to measure the frontal of an attack. So if you're attacking a unit, you lay this in front of the unit that you're attacking before you attack them. And then those are how the damage is applied. So if you have 5 units in that range, or if the units are spread further apart and you've got only 3 guys in there, you roll a dice to decide how damage is applied randomly to each one of those. You've got a grenade that you can throw at somebody. You basically lay this template where you want the grenade to land. And then there is a sequence that determines how the grenade goes off. You can either cook it, I think you can pre-plan it to go off, or just throw it. And there's also some rules where the enemy can roll a dice to see if they can kick the dice back at you. Here are your markers, so you can see they're flanked and broken. You've got heavily wounded, light wounded, suppressed, prone, rush, strike, aim, and you can cut these apart. Put these on the units as you're playing the game. You got mortars in the game, mortar template, and you can also build your own squads. So this is the card that you really need to see to play the game. It's only one card. It's got all the information on as far as the weapons and things like that. We've got information on how the grenades work on the back, all the weapons and what they were designed to do, shotguns. You've also got close assault weapons, a brawl, club, knife, an E-tool, which is like a trenching tool, could be used like an axe weapon, bayonets, which is a lot of fun. So if you've got bayonets and somebody else doesn't, you could actually reach into combat and attack somebody. But here's the meat of the game, and unfortunately I can't get any closer because my focus keeps going in and out, and I can't figure out how to stop it from doing that. So again, going back to the activation sequence, which is lowest unit moves first, and then highest unit assaults first, and then the grenades detonate at the end of firing. Our move actions basically consist of crawling, walking, running, standing, and going prone. The morale chart is basically just a die roll here. Here's the morale triggers. So your first casualty, KIA, is a -1 penalty to your morale check. If your officer leader is killed in action, that's a -1 to your check. If 50% of the squad is killed, it's -1. If you are ambushed, it's -1, or attacked by a heavy weapon, it's a -1. Your morale status is basically fine, pinned, broken, or rout. These are the penalties that are applied. If you're fine, it's totally okay. If you're pinned, it's a -1 penalty. If you're broken, it's a -2. And RFP means removed from play. Short range modifiers for assault weapons. So if you're at short range, you get a +1. If your attacker has aimed, basically not moved, he can get a +1 to his attack. If your target is moving, it's a -1. If your target is prone, it's another -1. And if your target's in cover, it's a -2. Your close assault modifiers, if you rush somebody, it's a +1. If the attacker strikes, it's a +1. If the attacker is outnumbered, that's a -1. And if the attacker is flanked, it's a -1. If the target is elevated, it's a -2. Your Spartan chart's here. Your damage is here. So basically, suppression is no penalty. A light wound is -1, -1 inch as far as their firing and their movement goes. Heavy wound is -2 on firing and -2 inches on movement. And KIA is removed from play. Here is the grenade template and how that works. And if you don't roll your to-hit number, there's a scatter number, and the number of inches that you miss by is how far that you move, and then you roll for a direction, and that's which way the grenade will go. Your weapons chart, basically to hit with a pistol, you'd be a 5 plus. Your range is 10 inches. Your SMG is 20 inches. Your carbine is 25 inches. Um, and again, all these numbers are relative to the types of weapons. You'll notice some weapons have a higher rate of fire, like an SMG has a rate of 5, a carbine has a rate of fire of 3, an HMG has a rate of fire of 4, LMG 5. Um, so it all pretty much makes sense. So uh, 1 to 7 causes suppression. 8 would cause a light wound, uh, heavy wounds, and killed in action. There's also some special notes for each weapon. Some weapons can have bayonets or be used as bayonets or clubs. Some have crews, some have heavy weapons. And then here is the brawling, the club, the knife, and the E-tool. That is it for all of the player aid and what you need to play the game. So here's the road to Cherbourg's expansion, and it's got some more scenarios in it. And I think this is like $5 for this. But we're getting to larger missions and things like that. And also there's a campaign and additional rules on the back. Overall, for $10, you can't beat this game. It's skirmish. It's going to be a lot of fun. As you activate each troop, each guy does not have to do the same thing. So you can have some guys move and some guys stand and take an aim fire. You can try to get them to flank around the Germans here and come into this area here and attack them from the side. But you got to maintain that command radius of 10 inches. So that's important to remember too. This scenario is very simple. Basically, for each American that gets off the board, you get a point. Each American that the Germans keep on the board, they get 1 point. There's only 10 turns to the game. Very simple. Just a lot of fun. It uses all D10s. I like the extra mechanics. There's also snipers that can be in the game, which are completely hidden units, and you can actually try to spot those if you want. You'll throw down that spotting template and then roll your dice to see if you can spot those guys, and if they're revealed, then they can be shot at, but otherwise they cannot be shot at. Very simple to understand. I mean, you can't beat it. And I hope you get a chance to play it. And Mitch and I might be doing another game of this fairly soon. We played a Skype game last night, and unfortunately the audio was so terrible we won't be able to put that one out there. But I hope you get a chance to try the game, and take care.